Chapter 10.1 Moringa Greenhouse Design. Moringa seeds can sprout within 6 to 14 days. From the time they sprout, a root tuber begins to form. It takes about 30-60 days to form a sufficient sized root tuber that could be shipped in the mail. They can be completely pulled out and sent in a box without soil. The tubers allow the tree to maintain life and store energy. It will regrow a new stem and leaves within a few weeks from replanting. Moringa tree roots have tubers and a taproot. The trees can grow really fast. Within 1 to 2 years, a young moringa seedling can be turned into a mature moringa tree with a robust root system. The mature root tuber can also be pulled out of the ground or pot and shipped in the mail without soil. The box I use to ship mature moringa trees are the triangular tube boxes provided by the post office. The cuttings are best when they are larger than 2 in diameter. Moringa cuttings have the ability to regrow new roots. The roots form from the bark. Although it is more difficult to get a moringa tree to root from a cutting, the result can be a very fast-growing tree. The benefits of growing from a cutting is that it has the same genetic material as the parent and can go to seed much faster. The root system can be fully regrown on a bare cutting within 1 to 2 years. It is a good practice to sprout moringa cuttings before packaging. The customer will have a better experience, and the cuttings will have a better success rate upon arrival. I like to stick a cutting in the ground, and when it begins to sprout, pull it out and cut it into smaller pieces and send all the pieces. A sprouted cutting may not have a fully formed root system, but there is some green growth happening on the bark. A stem may be about to emerge new greens. A cutting can be grown in several positions. Plant the cutting completely submerged, lay it flat, and cover a few inches in depth with soil. The new stem will emerge from the top end in a few weeks. Keep moist, a root system will form at the bottom. Another way to plant a moringa cutting is stick it straight up and down in a vertical position. Position the cutting in the same direction that it was cut. Roots will form from the bottom. Another useful technique is to plant the cutting at an angle. This seems to work really well. Submerge the cutting at least 6'1" deep to keep the bottom moist. If the roots form too deep and the cutting needs to be transplanted at a later date, that's all right. It will regrow anywhere it is relocated. Chapter 10.2 Moringa Harvesting Methods. Moringa trees are one of the fastest growing trees in the world. They can sprout within 6 to 14 days from a seed, and once the stem appears, several leaves will begin to show. While the little stems begin to grow taller, the lower branches will begin to fall off. The first set of leaves that grow out from the stem do not have a long lifespan. They are designed in nature to fall off and become replaced fast. You'll notice within the first 30 days, the first set of leaves will begin to yellow and fall off. Before the lower branches fall off or turn yellow, you can harvest the leaves and use them. Harvest young moringa tree sprouts in the first 30-45 days. This harvest is known as topping and will inspire the tree to sprout more branches, making your young moringa sprout short and bushy. You can grab a pair of scissors and cut the lower branches and leaves right off. Enjoy the leaves as a garnish to any meal. Topping is the first technique used to make a tree bushier. Utilize the topping to make a harvest. If you top the tree below the first set of leaves, then the young moringa tree will resprout a new stem from the root system, as shown in the bottom left corner of the image below. The remaining stem will die back, and a new stem will emerge from the root ball. If you top the moringa tree above the first set of leaves, then it will resprout 2 new stems at the place where the branches meet the stem. From that apex area of the stem and the branch is where new stems will emerge within a few weeks. As displayed inside the black circle in the bottom right of Figure 10, once you've topped several trees and seen the results, you'll feel more comfortable in knowing that any time one of your trees begins to stretch and it gets too tall, you can use the topping method to keep the tree short and bushy. If you want the main tree trunk to split into 2 trunks, keep topping the tree low until you have 2 new stems that you like. Simply keep those 2 stems growing, remove any other stems, and make sure those are the only stems growing. Then, you can continue to top those stems, and over time, the trunk will get thicker and woodier with 2 low splitting stems. Moringa is a soft wood and is one of the only trees that can be trimmed in these methods without life-threatening damage. Doing these types of harvesting methods on hardwood trees does not have the same result, because moringa is a tropical tree and has a special hormone known as Ch.10 in high levels. It has a fast rejuvenating capability. Within a few short weeks, a tree that has been lowered and cut back to a stump without any greens will be a short, bushy tree very soon. Trim moringa trees to any desirable height. They can be easily manicured and serve more purpose with some human intervention. Of course, a moringa tree can live a long and happy life without ever being trimmed or harvested. It knows what to do without us. But if we are going to plant the seed and eat from this tree, we might as well have it serve us the most. Good thing is that when you trim or harvest a moringa tree, it usually grows back even more, with ever more abundance with fresh leaves, drumsticks, seeds, and edible flowers. A large moringa tree that is too tall, or one that doesn't have a lot of greens, or the greens are just out of reach, one of the solutions can be to cut the tree down to 2-3 from the ground. This is a low cut back. It is severe and can cause the tree to go into shock, but the results are astonishing. The trunks will begin to sprout several new shoots within a few weeks. The tall, out-of-reach tree turns into a short, bushy tree. Pictured below is an example of a tall tree that was cut back low to the ground. Now, several months after cutting the tree low to the ground, it has sprouted back into a short, bushy tree. It's time to begin structuring the tree from scratch. The first step is to remove any of the lower branches, as seen in the middle image of Figure 10. You can see all the new stems, and even the old stem that was cut back low has died. Several new shoots are sprouting from the root ball. Since the stems are exposed, pull out and remove any stems that are crowding others. The end result in the image on the right shows the dead stem removed, and several shoots have been removed. The last step is to top all stems, but try to leave a few branches on, or at least one branch on each stem. That will help the tree to come back. With photosynthesis power in the leaves, we don't want to leave the tree without any leaves at all. Removing all leaves on a tree is not recommended. Always leaves a branch on each stem so that the tree can make a faster recovery. Since the leaves help the tree to absorb energy, they will need all the power to come back from the cuts and parts exposed in the harvest. The moringa tree has a short window in time that it is bushy. The best time to harvest is when the leaves are green and thick on the tree. This method of thinning and removing excess stems will also happen in higher tiers of the tree. As the moringa tree begins to grow back from this trim, the topped stems will begin to regrow several new shoots. The trick from this point is to remove the many new shoots that will sprout over the next few weeks and only keep 3 shoots per stem. This keeps the tree from crowing and allows light to penetrate the center of the tree, which is especially important in tropical climates when the trees are growing the fastest in wetter months. For example, anywhere a stem is trimmed, it will regrow several new shoots just below that cut. It's best to cut at a 45-degree angle so that water doesn't settle on top, causing rot. The post-harvest maintenance trick is to remove the crowded stems that have begun to grow back about 2 to 3 weeks after a harvest, and only keep about 3 new shoots per stem. Then, top the 3 remaining shoots to inspire them to resprout even more new stems. This will create an even bushier tree, and how you can create multiple tiers of successful new stems and shoots on a shorter tree. This is a creative process, and assure you that there is no mistake. You will begin to learn that year after year, each moringa tree will go through several periods of change and trimming. No moringa tree will look the same. Year after year, it goes through so many evolutions and changes with its soft wood and harvesting schedule. I like to keep the center of the moringa tree as open and clear as possible. When I remove excess stems and only keep 3 good ones, I usually only keep 3 that are on the outside of the stem, removing any stems that are facing the center of the tree. This makes the moringa tree even shorter with a wide structure. Have as much fun as possible trimming and pruning your moringa trees. Getting them to look how you want them is an amazing tool to know. We're always gaining more knowledge from nature. It is a gift that these trees can grow so fast. They can be trained and pruned to our liking. The best part about caring for moringa trees is being able to help them achieve greatness. They're already great on their own, but when someone makes them more productive through some of these harvesting techniques, they can reach newfound levels of abundance. The more branches a tree has, the more drumsticks and seeds it carry. Chapter 10:3. Stripping and washing moringa leaves. The process of stripping greens from the branches can be labor-intensive and time-consuming. If you harvest a large amount of moringa greens, it could take a couple of hours to separate the leaves from the branches. This process is called stripping greens. Do not pick the leaves off one by one. Instead, they can all be pulled off swiftly. Holding the base of the branch in one hand, hold the leaves downward. Then with the other hand, squeeze the branch and pull one hand down and the other hand up. This swift motion will cause the leaves to separate from the branches easily and quickly, leaving you with a pile of leaves without the sticks. There's still maybe some small sticks in the pile, but as long as you can separate the main skeleton of the branch from the leaves, that is success. If you don't have time to strip the greens, at least get them washed and then place them on the drying racks. The sticks will be harder to remove if it's not done first, but for time aspects, if you need to dry the greens before stripping, just know that separating sticks from the leaves after drying can still be done. It's just more difficult to get a cleaner stick-free, loose leaf for tea if greens are not stripped first. It is preferred to strip the greens from the stems first, wash, then rinse, and place the greens on the drying racks. The goal is to reduce the amount of sticks being dried so that there are little to no sticks in the dried loose greens. There's more work on the front end, stripping greens before washing, or there will be more work on the back end, removing sticks from the dried greens. If I leave the stems on the greens on the front end, then I have more work on the back end. If I spend more time and work stripping the greens first and getting the branches removed and cleared from the greens on the front end, then I have a lot less work to do on the back end in the processing for loose leaf and teas. I start the process of cleaning the moringa greens with 2 large bins and fill them full of water. As a cleaning agent, I put several tablespoons of aluminum-free baking soda in one of the large bins that will be our washing bin. The other bin is filled with water only, and that will be the rinsing bin. Aluminum-free baking soda. It's antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial. It's a little bit gritty, so when you're washing leaves in there, it helps to pull off any dirt or excrement from lizards, birds, or other animals. The main point of washing is to get any pee or poop off the leaves, because that could cause E. coli. So, we're just going to dunk branches with the leaves in the baking soda water mix. Shake and aerate the water, then move them over to the rinsing bin. Shake and aerate further. Then, place the soaked moringa leaves on drying racks for several days. The racks need to be made from screens so that air can pass both sides of the leaf. Drying the moringa greens properly will ensure safety for consumption without the formation of mold and bacteria. Dry the greens as fast as possible in a humid-free room. What's really cool is that the moringa leaves are hydrophobic and they repel water. That means they also repel other excretions from the leaf itself, helping to keep the leaves even cleaner to eat. Stripping greens is a huge part of the process of growing moringa. It is a task that will be done quite regularly, so get yourself comfortable, have fun, get the family involved, and just kind of kick it together, and you'll spend hours stripping greens if done by hand. There are more automated options, which we will talk more in a more advanced certification manual. Potentially, you'll get up to the point where you have piles of greens to strip, so that you have kilos worth of dried greens. Chapter 10:4. Drying moringa leaves and flowers. The way that we dry is natural, and the goal is to maintain as much of the nutrition as possible. The reason why we're not cooking it in a dehydrator oven is because the temperature can get above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. We like to let the greens dry naturally over several days on screen racks in a dehumidifying room. Everything will be crispy dry within a few days, and they will be really green. There will be no mold or bacteria forming on the leaves if they are on the drying racks within 6 hours from harvesting. Otherwise, they will begin to mold and compost, losing nutritional value. When harvesting, separate the leaves and flowers. Dry them in separate places. They have different drying times. The flowers can be dried and used as a garnish on meals, and is most famous as its own moringa flower tea. The drumsticks need to be dried for several days before being opened. If you open a green drumstick and it's not dry yet, the seeds will still be light colored and will not darken. Allow the drumstick to dry before cracking open so that the seeds are darker in color once dried. The leaves should be drying with fans and dehumidifier in a small, spare room or closet. I used to believe the same as everybody else does when it comes to drying herbs and greens, so I bundled them at the base of the branches and hung them up to dry. We're all used to seeing herbs like hemp and other things. Nostalgic images of herbalists hanging bundles of leaves in their home or outside on a hangline. Moringa is a little soft and sensitive to drying, so it just doesn't work like that. You've got to be able to spread the leaves out on screen racks with airflow on both sides of the leaf. If you're hanging in bundles, that inner bundled area is going to be black, moldy, powdery, and if you open it up and you're just going to get a waft of black mildew powder in your face that formed on the inside leaves, and that's why you don't want to hang in bundles. Plus, the branch is much more wet and takes longer to dry than the leaves. Keeping the leaves on the branches to dry on the bundle is going to keep the leaves wet longer because the branch takes longer to dry, which is more opportunity for mold to form. You'll want to dry your greens in their own room, preferably not in an area that has consistent circulation of people. You'll want to have the greens drying on racks with no dust or particles in the air. If you can dry in a shed or a room outside of the house, it's better. There should be no animals or carpet in the room that you are drying. Another reason to have the greens drying in their own room is the possibility of small bugs and insects. It is good to have a bug zapper in the room to help catch any flying bugs and to reduce the larvae. Do not dry the leaves in the sun. They should be in a cool, dry, dark place to retain as much nutrients as possible. Dry the greens for no less than 4 or 5 days. Even if they are crispy on the outside, there is still moisture deeper in the cell walls, and to be extra safe, dry the leaves for 4 or 5 days, then package in vacuum-sealed bags right away so they don't reabsorb moisture. Once the leaves are dried and sifted, they are vacuum sealed in plastic bags and placed in the freezer for 72 hours before selling to further ensure there are no living organisms in the package. Tiny bugs can live in the flowers and the seeds. They are also in the drumsticks. If you bring your flowers and drumsticks to dry in the same room as your leaves, the bugs may contaminate the leaves. It's even better to separate the flowers and drumsticks from the leaves. They dry at different rates. You want to begin the drying process as fast as possible. From the time you harvest to time they are on the drying racks should be minimal. You don't want to let any material sit outside for any period of time. It will compost and mold fast. The moringa material begins to break down fast. Chapter 10:5. Moringa loose leaf, tea and extract. Once the leaves are dried, they can be packaged and sold as loose tea. Loose moringa tea is one of the most profitable and sustainable markets for moringa. If you decided to only produce and sell moringa tea, you'd be very successful with lots of demand. Believe it or not, it's a little more labor-intensive to produce a high-quality loose leaf than a powder because the powder can hide things like sticks and imperfections of the leaves like yellowing or spots. But the loose leaf shows everything and needs a little more attention. Producing high-quality loose leaf pays off in high demand and premium pricing. Let's talk about how to produce a high-quality moringa loose leaf. The best way to have high-quality moringa loose leaf starts before the drying process by stripping the greens from the branches when they are wet. If you decide to put the leaves in the dry room without stripping, there will be more tiny sticks after they are dry, in turn causing you to spend more time sifting on the back end. To reduce the sifting time once leaves are dry, it is good to get a fast process of stripping greens from the branches before drying, so that you can move through a pile of wet greens fairly quickly. The longer you sit stripping greens, the longer it takes them to get on the racks. You could spend 8 hours stripping tediously, or have more of a pace and know that you don't have to catch every little stick and have that same pile done in an hour. To strip the leaves off the branches quickly, grab a branch and with the other hand enclose the base of the branch with your thumb and forefinger and pull down with some force to allow the leaves to break away from the branch, leaving a pile of leaves without the branch. If you don't have time to strip greens before the drying process, there will be many sticks in the loose leaf, which is not as desirable and not as tasty as clean, stick-free loose leaf. Below, you can see a stainless steel screen with a wooden frame is placed over top a bin, and I'm sifting the loose leaf into smaller cuts while removing any small sticks. I will have to re-sift the batch several times to get the desirable cut size and to also remove as many sticks as possible. This is a tedious process and would recommend spending the time stripping the greens before drying if you are producing loose leaf. If you are producing powder, more sifting can be done after powder is made to remove larger sticks. Sifting the leaves will help to cut the leaves into tiny pieces, better for tea drinkers. Sifting can also help to separate any of the big sticks. When I say sticks, they're really small parts of the branches. The way I describe parts of the moringa tree, the main trunk grows and splits into stems. The stems are connected to the branches, the leaves are attached to the branches, strip the leaves from the little sticks, stems on the branches. Moringa leaves are super nutritious. They hold minerals and vitamins. If dried at room temperature and not heated, they can retain even more value. They don't need to be put in the oven or a drying machine or even a freeze dryer. Just spread them out over a screen and put a fan on them. They'll be crispy in 24 hours and completely dried within 3 to 4 days. Performing this sifting process is cutting the leaves into a really nice tea leaf, which is really the best way to drink moringa leaves. This style is called sifted and cut. Using a sifter is helping to break down the leaves to where they're really fine. That allows the tea to darken in color and steep much faster. Steep moringa leaves in warm water for 5 minutes to make a refreshing moringa loose tea. Now that we have the loose leaf sifted and cleaned, it's time to seal it in vacuum bags to package and ship. We use the large vacuum seal bags and sealer. Each bag can fit about 500 grams of loose leaf. You don't want to have any sticks in your loose leaf because it could puncture the bag. If you are stripping the greens from the branches properly before drying, you're not going to have any big sticks or stems on the back end. When you're bagging up larger amounts, 250 grams or more, using the vacuum seal, you'll want to make sure that there's no sticks at all. For smaller packages, a baggie or pouch does not need to be vacuum sealed, but they should still be frozen for 3 days to eradicate any bugs or larvae. For the loose leaf before bagging, you want to spend more time sifting and making sure that it's really finely cut. Then, use the vacuum sealer to keep the leaves fresh as long as possible for the customer. The sealer machine has a button that can stop the sealing at any time. I usually press the button to stop it before it gets too sealed. Any small sticks can puncture the bag, and it doesn't need to crush the leaves into powder. The vacuum seal method is used to keep the oxygen in the bag at low levels, to reduce oxidation and keep the color, and to also help kill any living organisms. When you are about to seal the bag, put the tip of the bag down into the suction part and try to close the lid with the end of the bag down into the suction lip. Then press the button to stop the seal once all the air is out. then hit the seal button to apply the heat so that it can seal. One more step is to put all loose leaf bags in the freezer for 3 days, and from there you bring that out as if it has been irradiated without actually irradiating it. This way, all living organisms have been killed in the freezing temperatures. Moringa tea. Tea time is my favorite time of the day. I live off of moringa tea. I've lived off of moringa tea alone for many, many days, consuming only moringa tea. There was a time where I didn't even eat solid food or breakfast until about 1 in the afternoon. I would go to architecture school sometimes, 5 to 6 in the morning, and I would just drink tea all morning. You'll need loose moringa leaves, preferably dried. Also, a large pot of water on the stove heating. Then, remove water from the heat once it's hot. Allow the water to cool, then pour 8 O's in a mug. Place the moringa leaves in a tea infuser and steep in the warm water for 5 minutes. Add honey and lemon to your liking. Use moringa leaves as a base for many types of teas. Add other herbs with moringa leaves to make it more flavorful and resonate with a particular season or day of the week. One of my favorite additions to moringa tea is adding mint leaves. It's called Moringa Plus Mint Tea. Moringa leaf extract. Steep loose moringa leaves in organic grapeseed alcohol to make a moringa leaf extract. It could be used to help regulate blood sugar and blood pressure. The purpose for making a consumable moringa leaf extract is to preserve the moringa nutrients in a digestible liquid form. The vehicle that extracts the nutrients from the moringa leaves and preserves them in a liquid form is the organic grapeseed alcohol. Fill a mason jar about 3-4 the way full of dried loose moringa leaves. Don't use wet moringa leaves because you don't want water to be in the mix yet. Water in the wet leaves could cause the batch to go bad. Take the mason jar almost filled with moringa loose leaf and fill it with the alcohol, making sure to cover the moringa leaves completely. You don't want moringa leaves to be above the alcohol. Put the lid on and shake the jar until all leaves are below the alcohol line. Add more if needed. Shake the alcohol and leaf solution periodically, making sure all leaves are below the alcohol line. After several weeks of steeping the leaves, you'll begin to see the alcohol turn completely dark green, almost black. After a few weeks, the alcohol is such a dark color, it'll be fully saturated with nutrients and minerals from the moringa leaves. I have even seen the leaves turn completely white clear because the alcohol pulled everything out of the leaves. Strain the leaves away from the mason jar so that only the dark alcohol remains. Add the dark colored alcohol, without any leaves, into a large glass bottle. Then fill the bottle with distilled water. Dilute the alcohol with the distilled water about 5 to 6 times the amount of water to alcohol ratio. This is called a 1.5 ratio, 1 part alcohol solution to 5 parts water. Sometimes I have to dilute it 6 to 7 times because it can be strong. I don't want to taste the alcohol so much in the extract. That's why I also like using the organic grapeseed alcohol. It's much sweeter, and I love the taste of the final moringa leaf extract. I'll test each batch to taste with a dripper under the tongue. Add more distilled water if needed. Once the mixture is close to 5 times water, it becomes a little clearer. That's usually when I know to stop. Then I'll taste and prepare for bottling. If you are taking any medications for blood sugars or blood pressure, talk to your doctor before using moringa leaf extract. There are other ways to make it without alcohol as well. I like to dilute the extract further by drinking a few drops in a glass of water, while it is also very effective directly under the tongue. Use as needed. Moringa leaf extract can help regulate blood sugar and blood pressure. If you take too much, it could lower your blood pressure and you may get a slight headache. I use the moringa leaf extract in small amounts. There's more blood rushing to your brain because moringa has been known to help with circulation. While the moringa leaf extract does not thin the blood, it does, however, helps to move the blood along, helping to remove clogged areas. But it could even cause a clog if you're not in a good health condition. Use it with caution. Moringa leaf extract is one of the fastest ways to absorb nutrient from moringa because but alcohol can be dangerous if used in high amounts. The moringa leaf extract is intended to be used as an herbal supplement and diluted to safe levels. Do not consume the moringa leaf extract alcohol without diluting first. It could cause damage to mouth, throat, and stomach. Chapter 10.6 Moringa Powder and Capsules. Moringa powder is one of the most popular ways to consume moringa leaves. It's such a versatile product to make. It can be sold as an ingredient in many foods for humans, animals, and plants. Moringa powder can be added to rice, making it instantly more nutritious with vitamins, minerals, and fiber. Moringa powder can be added to animal feed in pellet form, while it can also act as a biostimulant and placed directly on the ground in powder form to help feed any plant. The powder can also be placed inside a veggie capsule and taken as an herbal supplement. To make the powder, begin with dried loose moringa greens that have already been pre-sifted. If you find that you didn't have time to fully strip the greens before drying, and now you're having to sift the sticks out on the back end of the process, then you'll want to spend some time sifting out all the big sticks before making powder. The sifting done for making powder may not be as time-consuming as making loose leaf for tea. You still don't want big sticks going into your blender, so take some time to sift and get a nice-looking loose leaf without any big sticks or stems before tossing them in the blender. Use any kind of blender to make a moringa powder. Make sure the blender is brand new and has not been used with dairy products or anything else other than herbs. In order for the powder to store properly, you don't want oils and fats from an old blender with residue contaminating the powder before sealing and packaging. Once you are blending, blend very well. Use the pulse option if possible. Make sure the lid is on the blender with the mixing stick in place before turning it on. I like to use a Vitamix blender and put the center dial halfway. Then, turn on the right power nozzle. It usually kicks on at half speed, a low hum pace for the first initial leaves to get blended. After a few seconds, and possibly agitating the leaves with the blender stick, it will turn to powder fairly quickly. Then you'll want to turn the Vitamix on high speed, flipping the lever on the left. Only leave on high for a few seconds. Keep the high speed on and make sure all leaves have been powdered, agitating the powder with the stick that comes with the Vitamix if needed to keep the powder flowing and completely moving around, spinning with the blender teeth. I don't like to blend on high for more than 5-10 seconds because it will get really hot. To avoid heat building up on longer powder sessions, I'll have 2 to 3 Vitamixes going so that none of them get too hot. Turn left nozzle back of, then turn right nozzle off and let the powder settle down for a second before opening the lid. Once the powder is made in the blender, there is only one more step before having the best moringa powder in the world. There are many sized filters, and I somehow hit the jackpot with this one because it catches so many little sticks, but still allows the powder to pass through in a fast enough time. Some micron filters may be too small, and it takes forever. Some may be too big and allow too many little sticks to pass. See if you can get a set of different sized ones. Also, the actual size of the sifter is about 7s in diameter. With one blender full of loose leaf, that will make enough powder to fill this one sifter. The perfect amount. I don't like to put 2 blenders worth of powder in one sift. More of the sticks get through that way. I usually just do 1 blender amount per sift. I'll use the little sticks remaining after each sift by putting them in a separate bin and dumping them outside on my raised beds as a biostimulant. The result is amazing. If you can get your powder to look, feel, and smell like this, you've made the best thing next to gold. Think about the process getting to this point. Starting with a tree, harvesting the leaves, stripping the greens, drying them on screen racks for several days, then sifting sticks, blending, and finally sifting again to remove any small sticks, and you'll have a super high quality moringa powder. Someone asked, could you package up the sifted sticks, maybe sell it to put in soups and things? And I said, they have different properties, sticks, and the stems have different medicinal properties than the leaves. It's a lot harder to access minerals. Humans are not like a cow or goat's digestive system. The sticks and stems are good for farm animals as a feed additive. There's always something useful for moringa. The leaf is really where it's at, and that's why you want to sift out all the branches and all the sticks from the actual powder. During this process, to make it as clean as possible, making powder should be done in the cleanest of any condition. If you are making powder to sell at the farmer's market and making it in your home, it should not be done in any areas where there is carpet or animals in the house. If animals do live in the house, make powder in a small shed separate from the house with proper ventilation and cleanliness. Wear gloves at all times and make sure that you are washing and cleaning all of your equipment after every use. You really don't want to leave anything overnight out, have anything sit overnight or even the next day, or just continually use it and have it cake on there, then come back to it a week later and then just keep using it. That's not clean and can attract dust and mold. For comparison, use the images and pricing on our website to get an idea of pricing and packaging options. We have 10 g of powder for $10. The smaller packages are priced higher to allow reduced prices as a customer chooses more quantity. The 10 g powders are in a 2x3 size plastic 1 ml Ziploc baggie with a front and back label that can be printed at home. The next size up is 100 gram for $20, and that's in a biodegradable rice paper pouch with a label on the front and back. The 250 gram and 1 kilos packages are in vacuum sealed bags to reduce oxidation. Both sizes come with labels on front and back. The front labels consist of the logo, the item, size, and some additional information. The back labels include the supplement facts and values with a QR code to pull up more information about the package contents. Moringa capsules. Everyone has different body types, and some people might like to use more moringa than others. It's good to know the amount of moringa powder in a capsule to know how much to consume. I know an 85-year-old lady, and she takes up to 12 to 500 milliliters capsules a day. A 500 milliliters capsule means 2 capsules equals 1 gram, so she's taking about 6 grams of powder a day. A teaspoon is about 3 grams, so she's taking about 2 teaspoons, almost a tablespoon of powder. That's a good amount of protein and fiber. If someone is consuming that same amount in powder form each day, a 100-gram package is only going to last them 14 days or so. But if someone was to consume 2 to 3 capsules a day, then 100 capsules is about a month's supply, equaling about 50 grams of powder. This manual moringa capsule maker has been the most beneficial investment I have ever made on a piece of equipment. It makes 100 capsules at a time, which usually takes between 5 to 10 minutes to make them. There were other sized machines. For example, 300 milligallon is really popular for children and elderly, but I purchased the 500 milliliters option and have only offered that size. Start getting to know all the parts. This machine comes with several plexiglass pieces. Get to know each piece. Practice makes perfect. The first step is to watch several videos on how to operate this machine. They are on YouTube on many different channels. There are 4 things that you don't want to do when you're making capsules. You want to make sure that there's no carpet and no animals. So we ripped the carpet out of the house, and I only make capsules in the laboratory, a special room just for making powder and capsules. You'll want to make sure your clean room area has all metal surfaces and concrete or vinyl plastic flooring. Do not make powder or capsules in an area with animals. The next thing is also making sure that the air is clean. You'll want lots of circulation. Keep several fans in the room, clean them regularly, and also have a HEPA certified air filter rated for the size of the space. Lastly, make sure you yourself are also clean. Make sure you are wearing clean clothes and wearing gloves with your hair pulled back. Sometimes you might want to wear a mask because the dust particles really affect the air quality. This capsule maker is made from plexiglass, which I really love. I was able to get 3 of these for like $100. I got it as a kit on eBay. Of course, you could probably buy one for maybe 50, 60 bucks. So there's a couple of different parts included with the machine. You'll need to purchase the actual empty capsules from somewhere. I separated veggie capsules size Zao0 from Capsule Connection. The tops come separately from the bottoms. It's easy to fill the machine that way without having to separate them yourself. I usually start filling the small tops, shaking them into place and putting the lock piece over top so they don't fall out. Then, setting the top loader aside, grab the bottom filling piece and fill the empty veggie bottoms into place. The entire process of making capsules can take a few minutes, but is worth the process. It makes 100 capsules. Once the empty capsules are in their proper loader pieces, it's time to fill the empty bottoms with powder. With the guiding rail part in place, spread the powder around until all holes with the bottom veggie capsules are filled. I use the leveling tool that came with the capsule machine to push powder over any of the holes. Shake the loader to let the powder fill the holes completely. Then there is a heavy compressing part of the machine that you'll press the powder down into each hole, compressing the powder so that 500 milliliters can fit in each one. After compressing the powder in each hole with the compression piece, dump some more powder onto the loader and fill the holes fully. This will give you a full capsule. Once you've done that, take the top piece and press it into the bottom piece and you'll have finished 100 capsules. Of course, there's a little more to it, which is why a video tutorial is also good to watch. Once the bottoms and tops have been pressed together, they come out fairly easily from the machine. They'll be positioned in the piece that looks the one below. The capsules will pop right out of that plexiglass sheet into the packaging that you desire. The fastest and most convenient way to consume moringa powder is in a capsule form. If you are always on the go, moringa supplements can keep the body in motion. Moringa powder is anti-inflammatory and has lots of vitamins and minerals. I usually take about 2 to 3 capsules a day. Moringa supplements help boost energy levels. Protein intake and added fiber to my diet helps me to have more regular bowel movements. For packaging moringa supplements, there can be several options for packaging. Take a look at our shop website for reference. Keep your capsules in a cool and dry environment prevents them from absorbing moisture. Keeping them out of the sun will help keep their vibrant green color. The little baggies don't have a desiccant, a moisture absorbing pack. The 10-count capsules are simply in a 2x3 Ziploc baggie with a small label on the front with logo and size, with a logo on the back with supplement facts and warnings. The 100-count bottles are in 225cc plastic containers. Each has a cotton ball inside. The final touch on the capsule bottles are a PVC band around the seal to make it look brand new and never before opened. A PVC band is placed over the ring of the lid, and with a heat gun is shrink wrapped over the lid to have that brand new look. It's very important for professional looking packaging. The 500 capsule packaging goes back to a clearer pouch with silver backing. Put 2 bags together for a 1,000 capsule deal. A cotton ball is also added to each pouch for moisture absorption. The pricing for moringa capsules can vary throughout the year and given your stock. They can be very time-consuming to make. Consume moringa supplements with at least 8 oz of warm water. Start in small amounts. Figure out what amount is good for you. We're all different. There may be times when your immune system may be compromised and you'll want to take more. There may be times when you don't take any at all, but might find yourself coming back to take a few here and there to maintain healthy levels of vitamins and minerals as a multivitamin. Chapter 10:7 Fresh Moringa, Drumsticks, and Greens. Moringa trees produce a vegetable seed pod known as the drumstick. Moringa is known as the drumstick tree around the world because the seed pod actually looks like a drumstick that is used to play the drums. Once the flower is pollinated, the seed pod begins to develop into a small green bean. In the image below, you can see the honeybee pollinating a moringa flower above, and the one below it has a young seed pod already forming. Once a moringa tree produces flowers becoming food for bees and is pollinated, the tree will no longer produce greens. The trees will only produce leaves or the drumsticks, not at the same time. Once pollinated, instead of putting energy into making leaves, the tree will begin to lose its leaves and start making seeds. Typically, trees that have pollinated flowers lose their leaves in preparation for seed production. It won't lose every leaf, but it won't be a full flush tree with drumsticks. Seeds take a lot of energy to produce, and the tree will conserve energy and only make one or the other. Mostly, all commercial moringa trees are from one of the 13 kinds of moringa, the Moringa oleifera. Within oleifera, there are some moringa trees that produce more greens or more drumsticks based on desirable uses and their region of origin. Some growers like to produce the greens, others like to produce the seeds and oil. You may have heard of the other types of Moringa oleifera like the PKM1, Momax, or ODC3. They were created for different traits. Moringa oleifera is the genetic mother that all the other specialty moringa trees come from, including the PKM1, reigning from the area known as Periyakulam, PKM, in Tamil Nadu, India. There are 3 stages to a moringa drumstick. The young stringy green bean-looking drumstick is so thin and soft that the entire skin and everything can be chopped and eaten. The young drumstick at such a young stage is useful in making many dishes, pesto, and sauces. The middle stage is the most valuable age of the moringa drumstick for eating and chopping into soups. The young seeds are not fully ripe inside the green drumstick, but they are seen and felt. There is a difference between a young, stringy drumstick that doesn't have any seeds formed yet, compared to a drumstick that has young seeds inside. When the middle-sized drumsticks are boiled in water for a few minutes, they turn soft and are very enjoyable to eat. The final stage of the drumstick is when they begin to turn brown or form stripes on the outside. They are beginning to ripen, removed from the tree and allowed to completely dry out before cracking open. Once the drumstick is completely dry and brown, crack it open to remove the dark mature seeds inside. The dark dried seeds can be used to grow new trees or pressed to make seed oil. The middle-sized drumsticks can be chopped and packaged and shipped in the mail as a next-day air package and will arrive cold. The package has thermal pouch and cooler packs inside. The fresh greens can also be harvested from the trees using the soft tips of the branches. The soft tips can be packaged and vacuum sealed as well. In both style packages, a moisture-absorbent pad can be placed inside to help reduce water from forming on the inside. The next-day air option is the only way the items will arrive fresh enough for the customer to eat. Chapter 10.8 Moringa Seeds, Wings and Paper. Moringa seeds are grown inside of the vegetable seed pod known as a drumstick. There are usually 10-20 seeds inside the drumstick. The moringa seed is divided into 3 segments. Each has a wing on it that allows it to blow in the wind. The moringa seed is also tapered on one side and flatter on the other side. The sprout and the root emerges from the flat side. There are 3 age groups of drumsticks. The first is the young stringy bean that emerges from the flowers. These young drumsticks become long and stringy and are very appealing in many dishes. The long stringy drumsticks are chopped and eaten whole before the seeds or skin has formed. The middle-aged drumstick is the most desirable for cooking. They are green, chopped, and boiled into soups and sauces. The middle-sized ones have young, immature seeds inside, and when they are cooked, they become soft and taste really good because the shell hasn't fully formed yet on the seed. When you're eating a chopped drumstick in a soup, discard the outer skin and enjoy the soft inside parts of the drumstick. The drumsticks pictured below have been on the tree too long for cooking and are no longer suitable to use in soups. The skin is too thick, and the seeds have already fully formed. The seeds most likely already have a shell on them, so they are not as desirable for cooking. These large green drumsticks have already gone past the time for chopping and cooking. Although, if you were to open these large green drumsticks, the seeds inside would be white in color. They'll darken if the drumstick is dried closed without cracking. Dry the seeds to darken without opening the drumstick. Once these green drumsticks turn brown and dry, after about 1 to 2 weeks, open them to find large, dark, mature moringa seeds inside. Moringa trees can produce several 100,000 seeds in their lifetime. Each drumstick can hold up to 10 to 20 seeds. Most moringa trees can produce a drumstick in the first year, but it might not fully develop mature seeds inside. Flowers can become pollinated and grow a small drumstick in the first year. If you want to grow moringa trees for drumsticks, it may be best to grow the tree bigger and more mature before letting them make drumsticks. Prevent your trees from producing drumsticks too early by popping flowers off young trees until they have larger root systems and many more branches. Pollinated flowers turn into drumsticks. Before allowing your moringa tree produces viable drumsticks, take 1 to 2 years popping flowers and growing the tree a bigger root system and multiple sturdy branches. The moringa tree will need to grow a large root system to support making large, dark, mature moringa seeds. Moringa drumsticks and seeds that are formed in the first year never fully mature. The seeds never fully darken and have higher rates of being duds. It may take several seasons before a moringa tree's drumsticks develop to full size and are high enough quality to produce oil and growing new trees. Once a moringa tree has many branches on it from consistent harvesting, let the tree go to flower without harvesting that season and allow the tree to become filled with flowers. Then, watch as the greens fall and the tree turns to developing seed pods. Usually, a moringa tree will produce greens or drumsticks, but not at the same time. The trees become less bushy when drumsticks are forming. Once mostly all the drumsticks have reached the middle age, with young seeds forming inside the drumsticks, make a harvest and sell the drumsticks fresh by weight. The final age of drumsticks, and of most interest for this section, are the brown, overripe drumsticks. The mature seed pods turn brown with stripes forming on the thick skin. The seeds are so big inside the drumstick, they begin to bulge from the edges. Only open a drumstick if it is a dark brown color and it has been dried. That time will allow the seeds to darken as well. If you have large dark seeds without any mold or discoloring, that's a great batch because they will be good for growing new trees with high germination rates and super valuable for pressing into seed oil. The most desirable moringa seeds are dark and have wings. The mature moringa seeds are mostly used for making cosmetic oil, but large amounts of seeds are used to sprout new moringa trees. The moringa seed is so versatile, it is also used in filtering water, medicine, and eating. They are cooked and used in many foods. The most desirable use for the moringa seed is pressing for oil, but the seed can also be powdered and encapsulated and taken as a supplement. The best moringa seeds to use are dry, dark moringa seeds for eating or pressing. It is important to harvest the drumsticks before the rainy season. Do not leave any drumsticks on trees during the rainy season. They can begin to mold and carry pests over to the next season. There can be several pests attributed to growing moringa trees that have not been properly managed. Pests and infestations can happen quickly. Keep your moringa trees clean each year with regularly scheduled harvests. The best practice for packaging moringa seeds is to remove the wings before selling. It also is best to remove moringa seed wings because in nature, when the wings have been removed, it signals to the seed that it has been blown around and traveled to its final destination and that it is ready to sprout. The wing is located on the seed over a tiny slit in the shell. When the wing is removed, water can penetrate the shell and germinate the seed. It's a natural way of saying it's time to sprout. That's why removing the wings can be beneficial to sprouting moringa seeds. There is no waste. Sift the wings from the moringa seeds to get a light, fluffy material that can be used to make paper. Use a metal screen and a bin to separate the wings from the seeds. Moringa seed wing paper. The moringa seed wings are very soft and light in color. They can even be used to make interesting textiles or pillows. One use for the seed wings is to make paper. Using an ancient paper-making technique, I have been able to produce moringa seed wing paper. Once the wings have been sifted, start with separating the wings from seeds and fill the blender with the wings. Add a mixture of warm water and agar. The agar powder, in this example, is made from potato sugar, and it acts as a binder to hold the paper together. In a pot, heat water and agar together based on instruction, then add the agar mix to the blender with the moringa seed wings. Blend the wings and warm agar water until well mixed. Dump the entire pulp mix from the blender into a larger bin of water. In the next steps, the pulp will be filtered and will make the sheet of paper using an instrument called a decal. A decal is made from a few simple parts. It consists of 2 wooden frames and screens. The bottom frame has a screen attached to it. The top frame is open and does not have a screen. There is a loose screen positioned between the top and bottom that will allow us to flip the paper over easily and remove the screen. The bottom frame has the screen positioned at the top. A loose screen is placed on top of that, and the top frame is placed on top of both the screen frame and the loose screen. Dip the frames in the pulp water and trap the pulp in the top frame. The water will drain out the bottom, leaving a thin layer of pulp as the water drains. Once the water is completely drained, remove the top frame. Then hold the loose screen still and flip the decal over on top of flat surface. The loose screen should peel away, leaving the wet paper behind. Let the wet paper dry. Once the wet paper is dry, it should peel easily from the surface, making a one-of-a-kind piece of moringa paper. The agar helps to hold it together as a binder. The moringa seed wing paper is still in the testing phases and would need some more experimentation to turn it into a viable product. There's lots of potential and opportunity to use the otherwise wasted wings and make moringa seed wing paper. Chapter 10.9 Moringa Seed Oil, Cake, Scrub, and Butter. Moringa Seed Oil. Moringa seeds have a high percentage of oil. Up to 20-25% oil is inside the inner white seed. The shell can be removed to produce a light color oil, used preferably in cosmetic products. Moringa seed oil is used as an anti-aging wrinkle cream. It's put in perfumes and deodorants, soaps and face creams, liquid body washes, hair care products, and it's used as a carrier oil or base oil in many popular formulas. Pressing the seeds with the shell produces a dark, rich color in the oil, desirable for many occasions. Apply moringa seed oil externally as moisturizer or daily skin toner. For massage and aromatherapy, use essential oils. Use internally as a dietary supplement, an excellent source of protein. Moringa seed oil can be eaten daily with food, is good for the heart as a monosaturated fat, and has a high smoke point of 200 C for cooking and baking. Moringa seed oil is used as a fast-absorbing, moisturizing body and face oil for dry and sensitive skin. Rub on problem areas for anti-inflammatory joint relief. Reduce wrinkles with omega-9 fatty acids, behenic acid, oleic acid, essential vitamins, and trace minerals. Moringa seed oil is an excellent source of antioxidants and can be ingested for immune system support and soothes the nervous system. Press the moringa seeds in a machine to extract the oil. A simple auger press machine can provide miraculous results. Moringa seed oil can be produced with a small tabletop cold press machine. Additional heat is not applied. The moringa seeds are loaded at the top of the machine. There is a spinning auger that crushes the seeds as the oil drips into the pan below. The excess crushed seed remains are forced out the end of the auger. It's called seed cake, yet another valuable product. The moringa seed cake can also be applied to the soil as nutrient supplement. It's up to 60% crude protein. The vitamins and minerals replenish the soil and enhance biology in the soil. The seed cake can be crushed and applied to the soil generously. I built an automatic seed hopper on top of the oil machine. It's made from spare wood and uses a 5-gallon water jug to feed the machine consistently, while a drill and auger agitate the seeds to help move them downward and feed the machine automatically. It has been a great addition to pressing moringa seeds. When you're done pressing, the entire batch of oil should be passed through a filter. The first filter is a larger micron screen to catch the bigger particles. It's still a tiny mesh, but only the smaller granules get through. The first filter produces a body scrub that is coarse and should not be used on the face. After the first filter is separated and the moringa seed oil has settled for about 1 to 2 weeks, it will be ready to bottle. There will be particles that settled to the bottom. That's the face butter. I use a suction device that pulls the oil from the top without grabbing any of the bottom layer.